thing I own, aside from memorabilia like cards and stuff, but the thing I own that is it's worth the most money from a childhood perspective, I have the 3 original Tonka trucks, the bulldozer, dump truck, and crane, all with original parts made with the original corrugated metal that could shred flesh.
Nice. I think there's some boxes in my parents' attic, but a lot of that stuff got yard saled.
So I was told that those are worth money because those are the 3. The crane still has its original rope, a claw that would actually be considered a weapon in modern times. Like that, it's a miracle that we survived childhood.
It is. So before we get into power rankings, I think we need to spend a minute talking about Dave Shea.
You know what? I think you're 100% right. So I will preface the Dave Shea talk by saying that while everyone knows that I grew up in New London, I have for the last 28 years lived in Colchester. My son is a Bacon Academy graduate. My son played for John Shea and for Dave Shea, and went to school with the Shea, grandchildren. So I definitely, this one hit home, and this one hit hard because my father, who's 80, would come to the games and would sit with Dave, and they would reminisce about basketball at Ocean Beach back in the day, and it's a true historical Connecticut figure who we lost.
And we have seen and probably still have coaches out there capable of that same level of greatness, but I don't know that anybody makes a career out of being a high school coach anymore, just because it seems like all of the best, or a lot of the best high school coaches get moved into administrator roles. So it's harder and harder, for a lot of reasons, it's harder and harder to be a successful high school coach. And like, I always wondered, how does somebody his age connect with teenage kids year after year as the culture of high school changes and the culture of athletics changes, to have that kind of success year after year after year in a small town, small high school was just super impressive. So,
I mean, I can't even come up with an example. I mean, I guess it would be like, imagine if Chad Neal at Killingly also coached the girls basketball team and the baseball team and had the same amount of success in all 3 of those things at different time frames too. I mean, Dave coached everything to an incredible level of success, and you're a legend when the gym's named after you while you're still alive for many, many years. And so he helped with the baseball team. So so John was the coach when my son was a freshman, and then Dave stayed and helped the last few years as an assistant, just kind of a bench presence and a person. And so to your point about connecting, I mean, right up until he's 90 years old, he's connecting with high school kids. And how do you do that? His son John talks about how he mellowed over the years, and how he was a very intense, I believe he said he had a little testosterone back in the day, and John is a fiery guy himself. The last 10-15 years, I think he was like a really knowledgeable, down-to-earth, cool grandpa.
So, I only saw him over the last 10 to 15 years, and I have seen him stomping up and down the sideline with steam coming out of his ears. So if that's mellow, I cannot imagine what he was back before he got mellow.
Yeah, there are some pictures in the day, today actually, and a couple of them, the faces are very, very, very serious. I think he was different when he was the head coach versus when he was an assistant or a bench coach as well.
So needless to say, will be missed and leaves quite a legacy, and we're not going to see many like him, if at all.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the last thought, is that we tend to, when we lose someone, we tend to memorialize them, and the platitudes can be kind of steep sometimes and maybe a little hyperbole. I don't think it's unreasonable to say you won't see another Dave Shea type career just because modern high school coaching doesn't really allow for it. I don't know that we'll ever see the likes of him again, and I definitely will say that in Colchester he will be really, really missed.
So, interesting week in ECC football.
All right, so across a football weekend, the Giants beat the Chargers, and Alabama beats Georgia, and Florida State loses to Virginia, and it's like, okay. But I went into last week really feeling like I had a handle on the ECC. If you remember, I sat here last week and I'm like, I got this. And if you look at last week's top 10, 5 of them lost this week. So here's the statement, the commitment that I'm going to make. I dug deeper this week. I really went into I got some research. I really dug deep. If my top 10 next week is not at least 80% accurate, I am going to start using a crystal ball, a Swami hat, and if you thought Lee Corso looked silly on camera, I will be in full wizard mode after next. I'm going to need to turn it over to the mystical because I'm at a loss right now.
Well, you say, 5 teams lose. ECC teams are going to start playing each other now. We're getting out of those alliance games, and so we're going to see 5 teams winning and 5 teams losing. And I guess the question is going to be, are the results what we expected, or are we going to be surprised in the way that we were surprised with a few games this week?
Well, that's because, and again, in this week, some of these losses were not to other ECC teams. They were alliance losses that I didn't see coming. So I'm going to start with thankfully, the one thing I can count on. It's like having a nice little stuffed animal to curl up to at night. Killingly at number 1, taking on the previously unbeaten Jonathan Law, handled them well. It was a competitive game like we expected, but at the end, Killingly pulls ahead and cements further its dominance and excellence, and my anchor in the number 1 spot. They have New London this week, which is obviously at this point where the New London program is on a complete rebuild youth movement, and where Killingly is as a state champion contender. That would appear to be a mismatch, so I would expect Killingly to stay here for the time being, but thankfully Killingly did their jobs up top, so I have a little bit of, I can start off strong. This is where it goes off the rails right here, though, Peter, because my number 2 and 3 teams both lost this week. So when you're looking for who's number 2, and there are only 2 undefeated teams in the ECC, and one of those 2 teams has one of the best point differentials, I believe top 4 point differential, you got to make them 2. And in honor of you, Dave Shea, Bacon Academy, he'd be very proud of that. They are number 2. They're 3-0. And the win against Wyndham, that's a good win against a good program. It's not just that they're 3-0. It's that they're 3-0 and their point differential is excellent. They're on a bye this week, so they're probably not going to go anywhere. So I'm feeling good about my 1 and 2 right now. But while I look at Bacon's schedule, they could absolutely go 8 and 2. There's also games in there that will be very interesting. And looking ahead, there is a game not this week, not next week, but the following week that I believe is going to be live on game day that will feature Bacon and the team that I'm going to be sliding all the way up to 3.
So before we get there, as much as I want to go after you for being a homer, I can't come up with an argument against Bacon in the number 2 spot right now. The only other undefeated team, second best point differential in the ECC, and second best by not even close. A big, almost 30 points better than Waterford. So Bacon has earned that spot right now.
I listen. Is this me saying that I think Bacon's the second best team in the ECC? No. Remember what the power rankings mean. It means where you are based on what you're capable of doing. Otherwise, we would just put all the big school teams up there. Bacon is 3-0. They've gotten the number 2 point differential. I feel very much on terra firma right now with them at 2. It doesn't mean I think they're the second best team per se. It means I think they're having the second best season based on what we have so far through 3 games. So coming in at number 3, I had them up high early in the year. I dropped them. I'm putting them back in at 3, the Griswold Wolverines. And here's why. This is where I'm talking about the dig deep. I gave them a big hit because of that week 1 loss to Seymour. Turns out Seymour's really good, getting votes in the top 10. Mike DeMoro had Seymour in his poll. And what they did last week, shutting out Ledyard, who was the hottest team in the ECC. We could not have been higher on anybody than Ledyard. Griswold went out and didn't just beat them, they shut them out. And that's incredible. I mean, if you consider Griswold shut out the team that had just previously dominated NFA, I know the transitive property doesn't work, but I mean, the physicality necessary to shut out Ledyard has to be taken seriously.
So I was skeptical of them as a small school and only knowing that they had a very good to great quarterback and some very good to great skill guys. But to shut out Ledyard, that is a complete team performance. And so credit to Griswold.
Now, Griswold also on a bye this week. So I'm feeling really good that 1, 2, and 3 are going to stand where they are next week. This is where it gets topsy-turvy. I've been pretty true to my word all year that losses against good teams should not hurt you too much. So coming in at number 4, the Fitch Falcons. Yes, they lost. They got shut out by Amity. Amity's a good team. They had to travel all the way to Woodbridge to play that game, which, I mean, I take that into serious. You know, it's a 2-hour drive to play an undefeated team, or a 2-1 team, a very good Amity team, I should say. I don't want to misspeak, but the point being, that was a very tough spot. I'm not gonna drop Fitch all the way down off of that one loss, and this week, live on game day, will be the matchup of the week to let us know about where 2 teams are.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that one because we knew coming into the season that both of these teams, Fitch and East Lyme, had some exciting players, among some of the most exciting players in the league. And it's going to be interesting to see, are those big names going to be the difference makers, or is it going to come down to the maybe less well-known but equally worthy of praise guys down in the trenches?
Yeah, so if I was going to be Fitch, what concerned me isn't the loss to Amity, it's getting shut out. An offense that had been seemingly firing on all cylinders. I don't know that anybody was playing better than Porter Carter. Coach Ellis, always very realistic about his team, said that they had a lot to clean up there, that there wasn't, he wasn't happy where they were yet. To get shut out is concerning to me. It makes me wonder a little bit about, the consistency of that offense. And this week, my number 5 team, East Lyme Vikings, that's the matchup. We're going to find out where these two teams stand. Now, East Lyme is 2-1. And I don't know what to make this of all the teams on this list. This is the team that I can make the least sense of, and here's why. Their 2 wins are over 2 teams that have not won a game. So they've beaten Woodstock and East Haven neither of whom has won a game. And their loss is to Killingly, who's the most dominant team in the conference. I can't really tell where East Lyme is. This week, East Lyme Fitch, this to me is this is the linchpin game of the week to kind of figure out, where these middle teams are all going to be.
I'm just going to shut up and listen to your next pick because someone's going to have beef with you.
So that question becomes, who comes in at 6? Who could it be? Who could it be? Could it be Waterford? Could it be Ledyard? How far am I going to drop? Well, Waterford was 4 and they won. Tough for me to drop them down past 6. Coming in at 6, the Waterford Lancers. And yeah, people are going to have beef with me, and I'm going to justify it, and I'm going to take that big old hamburger patty, and I'm going to bite right into it. Waterford, I'm actually dropping them from 4 to 6, coming off of a win. How can you do that? Because I'm saying that Fitch, that their loss shouldn't drop them significantly. East Lyme's win. Why did I put East Lyme suddenly ahead of Waterford? Because I think Waterford's wins haven't impressed me yet. That's right, Waterford, I said it. Bring on the noise. You're going to have a chance very soon, not this week, but next week, to show me just where you stand. Because right now, Waterford similarly hasn't had a game against the team. The one team they played that was a good team, they lost. The 2 teams they've played that they beat have been struggling. So I'm not sure what to make of Waterford yet. I think I overrated them early. I might be underrating them now. I will say this again. I believe Waterford has the ceiling to be the number 2 team in my power rankings. Right now, I have them at 6. I put Griswold because of the only loss they have being to Seymour. I know this is going to ruffle the feathers of many, many people in Waterford. So I'm okay with that, though. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I'm. The question is going to be, how do we win a game and drop 2 places? But
I mean, it also could just be that I misread my paper. I mean, you could have been 3. Who knows? I mean, it could have been that. No, I'm standing by this. I've spoken to a couple of the Waterford players. You can't win a game with 100 yards of penalties and then come back and win another game. You got to clean it up. And once they do, when they play not this week but next week against my number 7 team, the Ledyard Colonels, we're going to find out a lot about these 2 teams. Now, how could Ledyard drop all the way from 3 to 7 when they lost 14-0 to Griswold? And Griswold's, how could it happen? Well, here's why. Digging a little deeper, Ledyard's 2 wins don't seem as upside as they originally did because the 2 teams they beat have been struggling as well. Getting shut out by Griswold is concerning. But actually, I'm going to appeal directly. Anybody out there in Ledyard who has a problem with this pick, I am doing you a favor. All right? I had you down here. You guys were playing the lovable underdog. You were kicking butt and taking names. And I vaulted you all the way up to number 3, and you lost to Griswold. So I'm keeping you down here. Keep the chip on your shoulder. Be the underdog. Be unhappy. Keep winning games and rise back up the charts.
So last week's chart to this week's chart looks like indicative of someone just having wild mood swings. And maybe this next week, I guess next couple of weeks because of the buys will settle some things in. But I don't know. It feels like overreactions every week.
I'm grounded. I am opinionated. This week we've got 4 versus 5. Next week we've got 6 versus 7. They will start to sort themselves out. We're going to find out when Griswold takes on Bacon Academy where 2 and 3 stand. So in the next 2 weeks, 2 versus 3, 4 versus 5, 6 versus 7, we're going to find a lot out. Coming in at number 8, jumping from not even on the charts back in to the top 10, the Valley Panthers. Why? Well, they beat Woodstock. They're 2-1. They've played well. And who do they play this week? Waterford. This is a great. So here is Waterford's chance to not just win a game, but win a game in a more convincing, cleaner fashion. And this is Valley's chance to be competitive or win a game that shows, yes, they absolutely belong in this spot.
I think there's a little bit of buzz up there in Plainfield and the surrounding towns. Plainfield, a team that struggled with numbers in the past. The Quinnebog Co-op, that a playoff team that the knock against them was playing in the TAC conference. I think the Co-op has been good. I hear great numbers up there, and we know from past seasons and some grade 8 submissions that there's a bunch of good athletes up there. So I think this is a team that was easy to overlook in the preseason because we didn't know much about them, but I think a team that's got some buzz around it and could keep showing us good things.
Yeah, I think you're right. Before I give you 9 and 10 and who's on the way out, don't forget, like the video, subscribe where you can, follow where you can, make sure you're in the know and getting all of game day's important information, and I'll let you decide what level of importance that has. Coming in at number 9, sliding down from number 7, the Wyndham Whippets. Again, if the team at number 2 is who you lost to, I can't kill you too much. I was surprised by the score, not so much the outcome. I was surprised that the Wyndham defense struggled as much as it did against the Bacon offense. This is now a couple of Wyndham losses after a good opening win. I think they're on the cusp. And similarly, we're going to find out because they're playing my number 10 team. You wanted it. You got it. You won a game. You're in the top 10. The Stonington Bears. You did exactly what I said last week you needed to do. You needed to beat New London. And you did. You beat New London. It moves you into the top 10. Wyndham Stonington this week. Somebody's going to have a chance. I mean, Stonington, you win that game, you move to 2-2. All of a sudden, the season's a whole different outlook, right? Wyndham, you win that game, you're 2-2. Suddenly, the season's a whole different outlook. So it's a huge game there for those two teams.
And so interesting to look at this top 10 and see a lot of representation from ECC Division 3.
That is correct. This week. And here's the thing. Now they're playing each other. Some teams will drop back out again. So who's on the outside looking in? Montville, still looking for their first win. Woodstock, still looking for their first win. Absolutely, they get those wins and they can come back in. The other team that's on the outside looking in that hasn't won a game yet is NFA. Does it mean that I think that NFA is not one of the 10 best teams in the ECC? No, it does not mean that. But it's hard to justify putting a team in the top 10 in the power rankings when they haven't won a football game yet. I understand that the teams they played were good teams, but NFA is going to have to just flip it, get on the winning side of things. They'll be right back in this top 10.
Similar a little bit to our comments about Stonington the last couple of weeks, maybe a victim of their early season schedule.
Yeah.
Played a team that hadn't won yet last week in Xavier. Let's not forget Xavier is a multiple-time double L champion who's coming off some tough seasons, and now a lot of hope for them with the return of Coach Marinin. NFA's defense in that game looked very good.
It did.
It looked like their offense was a little out of sync, but you saw a lot of things to like. Their two running backs, both really tough. At some of the passing game just wasn't quite there. But then all of a sudden you would see a really nice two really nice passing touchdowns. So NFA is not going to be a 0-win team.
No, and to be clear, This does not mean that I don't think NFA is one of the best 10 teams in the ECC. It is an indication of where they are based on these first 3 games, which is that they're 0-3. All they need to do is win a couple of these games as they move into the part of their schedule where they're playing ECC teams of equal size, and now all of a sudden they can vault themselves right back into it. I've liked the NFA defense in 2 of the 3 weeks. I've liked the NFA offense in none of the 3 weeks. They didn't score against Trumbull. They didn't score against Xavier. They didn't score against Ledyard. It's kind of hard to. Right now, the NFA defense is playing great. The NFA offense needs to work some things out. I don't doubt that they will, and then as they do, they'll start winning football games. The other team on the outside looking in, obviously, New London Whalers. Tough loss to Stonington. They got killingly this week, which doesn't make it any better. I still keep saying that though New London is used to winning in all sports, and New London is got an incredibly high standard, and the New London fans and community out there is going to tell me I'm hating on the Whalers and all that. They are in a youth movement rebuild right now, and I think that they have an incredibly bright future. There is a lot of young talent on that team, but let's not put expectations on a bunch of freshmen and sophomores that shouldn't be there. They are on the outside looking in right now, and if they keep playing the way they've been playing, they'll be right back in the top 10 soon.
No, your friends in Waterford are in the chat already.
All right. Look, you want anything worth knowing?
You can use your imagination.
Hey, I love you for being passionate about it. I can't wait 2 weeks from now after you have played Valley and Ledyard. I will come on here. If you go out and beat Valley and you go out and you beat Ledyard, I will come on here and I will have a Waterford blue shirt on. And I will tell you what a great job you have done. I will hug you and give you praise. And then all will be right in Waterford. I've decided I'm just going to get a little snarky. I'm a little snarky today. I'm feeling a little snarky today. Again, I can't say enough. I really love how much my opinion seems to have any weight outside of it. It has no weight in this room. It has no weight in my house. I'm glad it has weight in the community. Thanks. So my final thoughts are this. Take a look at that top 10. I feel confident in one of them. Killingly. That's it. I believe Killingly is the best team. After that, every single team that's on that list, I'm putting there because it's of the, what happened recently. It is a long way to go. You live in Waterford. Do you think do you think you can represent the Waterford community for me with you?
You want me to bring in a Waterford sweatshirt for you?
Yeah, if they win the next 2 games, would you bring in a Waterford sweatshirt for me?
Yeah.
All right, put it right on. I'll put it on.
Do you want a Waterford swimming Speedo?
I don't know that anyone else out there would say yes to that. So, here's the problem with me being a Chris Farley, Kevin James kind of disciple. I would enjoy wearing the Speedo and being on camera far more than anyone would enjoy being on the other end of that. So,
all right, I think that's the first statement that you've made that everybody can agree on.